With no drop weeks applied yet, Olenik's tenuous lead remains, and fans watch and wonder what the rest of the season has in store. For this round, it has a monster of a track in store. While some might be surprised that Bathurst is a regular presence on the Lotus 49 schedule, those people probably haven't met these drivers. Always up for a challenge and usually eager for combinations that look like madness, this series tends to put on a great show here. Will today provide another stunner? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacher. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Stefan, there's a lot to this track, so why don't you give us a rundown on Mount Panorama?
Honestly, Joe, I'm feeling a bit of a scared excitement about this combination. Either we're gonna see only one car come out the other side of the mountain, or we're gonna see the race our ancestors are gonna talk about in 400 years. But let's get technical. Mount Panorama Circuit is a 4-mile-long behemoth, 23 turns in total, each one more treacherous than the previous one, especially in the Lotus 49. Not to forget the 2 hills up Mountain and down Conrad Strait, which, taken wrong, are gonna end in disaster for the drivers. So let's hope that nobody's gonna get caught out by one of them. But let's show you how one tackles the mountain and its challenges as we take you on board our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Bathurst. Coming down to Hell Corner, it's incredibly critical that you don't outbrake yourself into this bend. Being able to get to the power early out of that first turn will affect your lap time greatly as you climb up the mountain straight. Not to mention, a good exit will help protect you from an attack. Now, over the hill, the car tends to pull left if you shift into 5th. Let it bounce off the limiter and shift up after the hump. After that, you'll be braking uphill into Griffin's Bend, so get the car to the left and put out the anchors. Being smooth to the power will pay off since you'll be turning and accelerating out of here. Something easier said than done. Switch sides quickly, and as we come up to the cutting, remember that not being able to brake in a straight line will mean you've got to lift to ease into this double apex corner. Try to really line the car up for the exit. The line through Quarry isn't quite flat out, but swing wide because you'll need the entire track over the rise into Reed Park. From here, treat all those little kinks in the track as one long arc. You'll be feathering the throttle through Frog Hollow and eventually Salmon Park. Just as you come over the rise, tap the brakes and turn in early to get the car to grip through McPhillamy Park. Get on the power briefly, bring the car to the left, and then try your best to brake as the car gets light over Skyline. You'll be slowing and steering your way through these steep downhill S's, hopefully managing to line your car up for the dipper. From there, you'll get another little squirt of the gas across the top of the mountain before you find yourself braking for the frustrating Forest Elbow. The drop tends to make it hard to slow the car up. Just like Hell Corner, the best traction acceleration is what you're really aiming for. We're now on the opposite side from before, blasting down the Conrad Strait. But the Lotus is so fast and powerful that staying on the throttle can sometimes send the car out of sorts over the big crest. Letting off the 80% throttle doesn't really lose you any time and keeps the car safe. Then comes the infamous chase. Tap the brakes, turn it in, then bring the car to the right as you really stop the binders. This is easily going to be one of the most popular overtaking spots. The track rises, making it tough to get back to the power quickly. Once you've got it fully down though, you're heading towards Murray's Corner. The 49 can take that inside curve better than most cars, but for the ideal run, try not to clobber it. Hopefully you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Bathurst.
You see a lap around the mountain, up and down many feet in elevation. Now, it's been a heck of a climb for our leader in the points, Rob Olenek. I mentioned he's still leading. Well, that's because they haven't applied the drop points quite yet. McLaren just closed it down to 16. When those drop points do get applied, depending on how Mick does today, we could see Rob eventually not on the top anymore. Now, Ove Trangrade is still running in 3rd, but he's a ways back. Gary Teal, with a good finish, finds himself bumped up to 4th, and that, of course, demotes Matt Wright down 2 spots into P5 for the F1 driver standings. They always have the F2 driver standings as their amateur championship. Stefan, what's that look like?
Hugh Haycox is leading that one right now, 20 points ahead of the Spanish driver of Francisco Gutierrez. As you can see, top 4, no position change at all. Hideki Kovisto in 3rd place, 5 points behind Gutierrez, and Colin Coker is 32 points in total behind your leader of Haycox. But Grant Patullo plus 3 positions last round at VR. He gained 20 points there, 37 points behind, so it's really close between those top 5s after 4 rounds in this championship.
And of course, the Constructors, which is the Nations Cup here in the Lotus 49 series, is being led by the UK. Claridge contributing most of the points, worth putting some in there as well. Now, Olenek, surprisingly, usually there's a number of Americans in this series. He's the only one contributing points so far. He has them up to 2nd, but they dropped down from the top because of Claridge having gotten a win last round. Norway up 1 position into 3rd. You can see Australia just holding on. They might contribute a number of points today because they tend to have specialists come out here at Bathurst, and Germany drops down 2. So as we take a look at the race details, Stefan, what are we looking at for today's event?
Oh, it's gonna be for sure a cracker here. As said, round 5 of the 12-week official iRacing series. 2 drop points will be accounted for. I'm pretty sure after next round we're gonna see the first one. Race distance today, though, 16 laps because of how long this track is. Setup's completely open. They also don't have to worry about any stops because they're not fuel restricted. And the points, they pay out all the way down to 25th. In the race, so everyone is going to get some points today.
And once again, we are watching the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series on the iRacing Esports Network. If you enjoy retro racing like this, make sure and subscribe. All you got to do is click the big red button on their YouTube page that says subscribe, and they'll get not only the Lotus 49 series, but all the World Championship series on iRacing on your YouTube feed. Now, we're looking at 2nd place, but that is because Michel Dudignon has been missing for a few weeks. He has been able to return here at Bathurst. This is our pole sitter for the moment, provisionally, Mick Claridge. The gap at about 0.3 of a second, which isn't too bad of a gap at a long lap like this, Steph.
Yeah, and Mick Claridge, as I said, about 0.3 ahead, but it's great to see the number 1 of Dudignon back. Really missing him in all the races and all the fun, and he could really take this by storm. He missed, as you said, the first few rounds, but he is back, and he is back rocking 2nd place. And he's actually coming back to the start-finish now.
It's, as we ride on board with Ove Trangarade, who's going to come across first. He's actually sitting in 3rd. Let's see if this one's going to be faster for him. It is, but it doesn't move him up in position. A 59.8. Michel Dudignon crosses a 59.4 for him. Faster, but again, still not enough to depose Mick Claridge, who himself, you can see,
yeah.
Whoop, and he's actually not going to take this 2nd lap. He's just going to have some fun. So I think he knew that he can't be beaten on time unless we got a phenomenal lap.
Angelika Pawlowski just went up about 0.3, actually 0.7 faster than the last lap, jumping up from 5th to 4th, nearly challenging 3rd place there of Ove Trangarade, but not quite.
Pawlowski's been showing some pace, so Roman could maybe be a thorn in the side of some of those faster drivers. This is Gary Teal, who also has been finding himself quite a bit of speed in a few of these races. We'll see how he fares today. I mentioned sometimes we'll have Australians come in as specialists at this track and try this car. Well, unfortunately, the only one that I see that I don't recognize, Philip Clark, don't think is as much of a regular. Colin Coker, who did the sort of lap guide, not here on our broadcast, but down in the forums. He chipped in with the regular series that Mick Claridge has been doing this season. Apparently is very, very familiar with this track and gave some very cool stories on the side. Matt Wright, Grant Petullo, the other two locals that we've got here today. But Grant and Matt, of course, run regularly in this series. I think we've got everybody qualified. In fact, the clock has already ticked down to 0. So let's go through our starting order. Mick Claridge going to be on the pole. Michel Dudignon going to give him a run for his money. It's about 3/10 of a second between them still after all is said and done. Ove Trangrade starting on the second row and third, with Roman Pawlowski starting fourth. Rob Olenek qualifying not as good today. Will start P5. Gary Teal will be 6. Phil Lake back once again in the series. He'll be starting 7th. Hugh Haycock's P8. Then you've got Daniel Sadro with a 9th after qualifying is over. Bruce Nelson will round out our top 10. Stefan?
Ian Haycock's getting out-qualified by his son down in 11th place. Philip Urquhart lines up alongside him in 12th. Matt Wright 13th and ranked 14th. Armin Weber in 15th, Grant Petullo rounding out the top 16 drivers, Hideki Koivisto down in 17th, Philip Clark in 18th, Colin Coker only 19th, and Robert Reynolds down in 20th with the 20, not setting a single qualifying lap.
19 of the 20 cars managed to get one in. Let's hope that bodes well for the race itself, as it tends to be a little bit of a race of attrition. Not surprising, I'm sure, for how much of a handful these cars are just on a regular track, let alone something as scary as the mountain. You can see them all starting to grid up. We're just waiting on Gary Teal at this point. Then we get to go racing for round 5 here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends. All right, Teal's got his car out on the grid. So as the engines start to rev, lights are up, green flag is out, off the line. Mick Claridge looking decent. He manages to slot ahead of Michel Dudignon, behind him Ove Trangrade as well. Off the line ahead of Roman Pawlowski, a few of them streaming in too wide into hell corner, but otherwise it is a clean jump for the start.
Yeah, you're saying it completely green here, probably a bit of a respect there because of the challenge they will have to face. Gary Teal trying to attack Rob Olnichuk for 5th position, but sticking back because of the huge AR. Both got over the hump at Mountain Straight.
Everyone through Griffin's Bend as well. Now they hit the cutting. This is where it can get a little scary for some of the drivers. They climb their way up the hill. So far, so good, though. Oh, I spoke too soon. Robert Reynolds looks like he's found problems.
Yeah, he found problems, braking a little bit too hard after Griffin's Bend for the next turn and just nosediving it very hard into the inside wall, getting flung out to the other side of the wall and has to retire his car. Pawlowski just got overtaken by Rob Olnichuk, though, for 4th position.
Otherwise, it's been mostly single file. Oh, we had a spinner down through the dipper. Andrew Ang. I'm not sure if he actually hit the wall. I think he did. Looks like we've got the replay. And I think this was all driver error, Steph.
Yeah, down into the S's, he just takes it. It seems like he just takes it a bit too easy and turns in a bit too hard for the left and just loses it on the brake there. Hits the wall. Front and rear impact, but is able to continue and doesn't seem to have much damage. Actually, he is creeping quite a bit, so he probably has to park it.
And there we see the incident with Reynolds into the cutting. That was a hard blow after turning in too early. So first lap is already completed. Oh, go ahead.
Ian Haycock's had a spin out at the chase there. Driver error. Is able to continue, but lost about 4 positions there.
Yeah, that drops him down to 16th, sadly. Right on board with Mick Claridge. Oh, excuse me, with Michel Dudignon. Oh, taking a late look on Mick Claridge, actually. And it doesn't quite pan out. He got all 4 wheels off the ground over the jump up the mountain straight, but that battle has allowed Ove Trangrade to close in very, very close behind them. There you can see in the purple machine. They're working their way up towards Frog Hollow now, and already Dudignon has had to back off slightly.
Yeah, that was all accidental there from Michel. Just a bit too hard on the brake, loses the rear, has to chase it after into Griffin's Bend, and able to avoid Mick Lerch there, but a very hairy situation that could have went quite south there for both of them. But like this, they stay first and second and continue on their journey up and down the mountain.
As we ride on board with Trangrade through Forest Elbow, this is one of the most important corners down the Conrad Straight. Claridge off like a shot from that corner. Look at the gap that he's pulling. Trangrade not able to do anything on Dudignon to really put himself into position for a pass. Most of the field looks like they are stringing out a little bit. Whoa! And Michel Dudignon losing it down into the chase. He catches it, but he's not going to be able to retain that lead with a cut course penalty. He slows it down, and that's going to put him into third. That was a whale of a catch.
If it wouldn't sound this trashy, I would actually start clapping right now, because that was a heck of a save from Dudignon there. I do not know how he was able to catch that tail end, because he was going full initial D style there.
Yeah, look at that. Just a little too much curb, and it started to bounce. He was on top of it. So this opens the door for Ove Trangrade. In fact, he's already cut the gap down to 0.3 of a second to Mick Claridge. Clearly, Trangrade's on the right pedal. The number 6 car potentially thinking he could sneak a win in here. Behind them, got a little bit of a battle farther back in the pack. Olenek leading a train of cars. Pawlowski, Teal, Lake, and Haycox all together. That's Hugh Haycox down there in 8th.
Yeah, and Phil Lake had a bit of a moment there just a turn ago. Was all crossed up, was able to save it though, didn't lose any time either to the 3 cars ahead of him. Was a good save by him, no harm, no foul, and I'm pretty sure that's a bit down to the track temperature that we have here today. If you remember correctly, last week we had 120 Fahrenheit. Today we have a modest 99 Fahrenheit on the track.
And something happened to Philip Urquhart. Looks like he caught the wall down in the dipper. And in fact, this is a very close call with Matt Wright that you saw sneak by. Nicely done by him to just eke through. As we come back live, Trangrade still on chase, with Mick Claridge still about 3 to 4 tenths behind at every corner. Dudignon himself has cut that down to about half a second, trying to regain that second place. Look back at Gary Teal with a bit of a bobble coming through Murray's corner, almost running Philip Lake off the road though.
Yeah, Phil taking it to the grass there. I mean, they have treaded tires, so he has a little bit more grip on the rest, but I would still not really suggest that to do that more than just once, and staying especially on the power. Phil Lake actually has a little bit of a run. Besides, better off it though into Griffin's Bend.
Can't quite do anything with it. He'll probably think twice trying to go around the outside of that corner next time. And now hit the mountain and have to go single file once more. Gary Teal retains that 6th place, loses ground on Pawlowski up ahead. It's now 2 seconds between 5th and 6th. See Lake all over the gearbox of Gary Teal's number 5. Through the various parks, the swinging left-handers that eventually culminates in McPhillamy up at the top of the hill. And then it's all downhill from here, literally. Through the S's into the dipper.
Great save by Rob there, getting all crisped up into the dipper, way offline, and saves it somehow in front of Pawlowski there. That lost major time to the guys ahead.
Yeah, Olenek obviously having to do some work in that car. Last thing you want is the car being unsteady around here. As meanwhile on screen, this is a battle between Teal and Lake. Teal to the inside.
Oh, wait,
that game of chicken. Oh, but he manages to. No, he can't. Oh. He cannot. As Phil Lake off track one side, off track the other side, and not only does he lose that spot back, but Hugh Haycox manages to slip into 7th. UK&I driver from on board took it in, trying to hold around the outside. I thought he was going to get it because he was back on track, but I guess just way too much momentum.
Yeah, I thought he's gonna be able to stay on the black stuff there, but wasn't quite able to, though, as Michel Dudignon takes on the tackle for P2 right on the inside of Ove Trengerate and makes it happen.
Nicely done. You can see how tricky it is over that crest. Trengerate actually went a little sideways in the air and caught it, but eventually it was all for naught. Dudignon gets himself back up into 2nd. Some incredible action so far. We're only 5 laps in. We're a third of the way through the race.
Yeah, you know what? The hump there over Mountain Straight always reminds me a little bit of Flugplatz at the Nordschleife. If you watch these cars back, probably on YouTube, you can see how much air they get, and it's not much less that they get here. Obviously, the hump is a little bit of a different one because here they drop down and Flugplatz, they fly up. But it's still very tricky. If you land it wrong, ever so slightly crossed up, you're gonna find yourself in the wall. And these guys, so far so good, but how long can they stay full throttle over that with this track temperature that they have to face today?
Ooh, and we might have another battle, this one between Pawlowski and Olenek. In fact, Roman's got a very good run, but not willing to take it side by side over the crest. He's gonna wait patiently. That's going to deny him the opportunity, unfortunately. So Olenek retains 4th as they break for the chase. Could see a move up into Murray's. Pawlowski's still very, very close, but not quite close enough. Ahead of them, things have evened out between the top 3. It's about 1 second from Claridge to Dudignon and a little over a second from Dudignon to Trengerade. And did something happen to Sadro back in the middle of the pack? Yep, he had an off track, it looks like, at the chase. And this did cost him a position. Matt Wright able to get him due to this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it back with you guys for the very first time here as he's already exiting there onto the grass. It looks like he was ever so slightly too late into the chase, getting all crossed up during braking, not able to keep it on the black stuff and loses the position to Matt Wright, who slips through into 10th place.
And that's 3 positions up from Matt Wright. Having started in 13th. Now, did Armin Weber have himself a problem? Looks like he lost out to Ian Haycox.
Ian Haycox himself just made a big mistake into the last corner here.
Oh, and Ove Trengerade falling down the order. This happened in the Dipper. This is the other spot other than the chase that seems to have really caught a number of drivers out. I think he's going to be able to get it turned around. It was a light touch to the wall, but he's having to wait a long, long time. Look at this, all the way down to 11th. He is stuck in a horrible, horrible place.
Yeah, and they're just gonna come and come and come and come, so he has to wait till pretty much everyone is past for him to be able to turn around. And honestly, this was all a driver error there from Ove Trengerade. Just taking it a little bit too deep into the SS, being too far to the left side because of the bump on the curb, gets it all crossed up, hits the inside wall, and because of how soft the suspension is, he just spins it around.
Oh, and the battle is on for the lead. Our old rivals, Dudignon and Claridge. They're going to take it side by side. Michelle going to be deep on the brakes into Griffin's Bend. Wheel to wheel. Mick Claridge has the racing line and is able to gun it off the corner. He fends him off for now, but that's probably not the last we've seen of these two.
Yeah, and Dudignon is right now Trangorate's best... sorry, not Trangorate's, Olnichuk's best friend right now, because he needs to get past Claridge for Olnichuk to not lose too much, Olnick to not lose too many points against Mick Claridge.
Big slide through the corner from Michel Dudignon. Yeah, that track temperature staying about the same, but certainly not seeming to help the grip of these tires, weaving their way down through the S's and the Dipper. They're coming up to Forest Elbow. This is another critical point for Michel Dudignon. He gets the run. Oh, a bit of wheel spin for Mick Claridge. Could this set up the Frenchman? He's starting to gain a little bit of ground. The slipstream helping as well. Mick Claridge, which side is he going to pick? Tries to come back to the left side. Almost runs him off the road. They almost come together. Michel Dudignon hard into the wall. And this time, unfortunately, he can't survive it. Big damage on the car. Returns to the track. But I'm not sure he's going to be able to finish this race.
Well, he has big damage to his car. He's turning quite a lot right to go straight here. And yeah, I don't...
Was there a ghost contact, maybe?
I don't know if they even had contact. I think that was just Dudignon going a bit too far to left, turning in way too hard to right, and then having to correct, because if it doesn't turn left there, he's gonna run into the car of Claridge. So I think that was all driver error by Dudignon.
While that action was happening, Philip Lake had his own issues. And once again, it's the Dipper. Oh, just nosed it in. He did get it going once more. And it sent him down to 9th place. Indeed, Dudignon had to take it into pit lane for repairs. Too much damage on the car. This promotes Rob Olenek to 2nd. Pawlowski now on the podium. Surprisingly, despite me predicting high attrition, we've lost Robert Reynolds, Philip Urquhart, and Andrew Ang. Dudignon would be the latest if he is not able to get the car back out on track. So out of 20 starters, only lost potentially 4.
Technically, Andrew Ang is still racing 2 laps down. He's still driving around his laps. He's actually going into pit lane now, so he might actually put it behind a wall now. But he is still going.
And Colin Coker hit the wall. We don't need a replay. This was in Forest Elbow. He's also come into the pits. Well, that's disappointing for Colin. So we take a look at the battle for 2nd. You could see Pawlowski still chasing Olenek. Not close enough for the chase to offer a pass. Behind them, don't forget Gary Teal. If these two start fighting, from what we've seen in the number 5 car, I think he's going to be leaping on any chance to try and move up onto the podium.
Yeah, and we're already at the halfway point, and we're still having the battle for 2nd place. So, as I said, they have to be careful, because Teal, if he sees some opening, he's gonna go for it, because he knows what he can and can't do. So, Gary Teal, you have to watch him. Not only if you're racing against him, but also right now, because he might sneak up into 2nd place before you know it.
Pawlowski getting very, very close to the back of Olenek, but once again, trying to wait patiently for a clear shot. They work their way through the cutting, uphill, now through Quarry towards Frog Hollow. See how much these cars have to tiptoe their way over these crests and around these bends, walls on either side. Teal looming ever closer behind them, about 1.5 seconds back. Now they head back downhill. Olenek had a mistake here before. Is he going to be clean this time? into the dipper. Car looking pretty smooth. A little bit of a slide, but catches it. Really no space for Pawlowski to try and take advantage of that. Now they hit Force Elbow around the corner. A little bit hot for Roman Pawlowski, and that is going to deny him another chance at a pass. And did Lake have more problems? Well, he's in the pit, so clearly something went wrong.
Yeah, Skyline had its first victim more precisely. The outside curb of McPhillamy Park takes it too high onto it. Hard contact, parallel contact actually with the right side wall. Comes out onto the track there because he got bounced away from the wall, nearly running into Daniel Sadler there. And yeah, he had to stop.
And just as we come back live, Hugh Haycox, unfortunately, finding himself, making an unorthodox pit entry. Looks like he had a little bit of damage already. Not sure what from. So the younger Haycox, unfortunately, the next victim of the mountain. We are now down to 13 cars, it looks like.
Oh, Pawlowski! Oh
no.
How lucky was that, though? Able to keep going after a big sideways parallel hit on the wall there up the mountain.
Watch him on board. Oh, pushed it that little bit too hard. That can cause some suspension damage, though. He's dropped off slightly from Olenek, so maybe he got away with it. Ooh, we could see the whole car bounce into the air. My goodness. So, and Armin Weber also in the pit lane. Oh, and this was in almost the exact same place up through Corey. Oh, also just pancaking that wall left side of the car. This one not going to survive compared to what we saw with Pawlowski. So Weber finds himself the next entry to pit lane.
Yeah, strangely enough, a lot of people right now want to leave their mark on the mountain, but it seems like the mountain stands like a rock and leaves his mark on their cars.
Steph, I put my hand
Oh,
up
Clark! Into the SS, he flips it!
Oh,
and
no.
parks it onto the concrete wall. That's an interesting parking spot there, Phil. But yeah, no, the next victim of the SS right there.
I'm going to put my hand up on this one. I was saying how we haven't had a whole lot of attrition, and the next thing I know, we're almost down to half the field gone.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, the thing with the mountain is it is a very slow working poison. It's gonna drag you down slowly but surely, but it is gonna get you if you're not careful enough.
Yeah, it just seems like drivers almost getting tired out there because it's been going up and up. More and more drivers making little mistakes that are hugely costly. As we watch this battle for second continue, Pawlowski, one of the few to escape that with a touch to the wall. 3/10 now between Pawlowski and Olenek. Down the Conrad Straight one more time. We have 11 cars remaining of the 20 starters. Actually, excuse me, make that 12. Hugh was able to return after that pit stop. Through the chase, Pawlowski getting very familiar with the gearbox workings of Roman's Lotus 49.
Yeah, at this point I'm starting to think that Roman could easily take apart the gearbox of the car ahead of Olenek because of how long he's following that one already.
See if he can get himself a launch off of Hell Corner. Ooh, this one looking pretty decent. The slipstream sometimes will come into effect. Up and over the jump. Up mountain straight. Getting closer, but just not enough straightaway by the time they hit the braking. All of this happening about 4 seconds behind Mick Claridge, who, despite some threat from Michel Dudignon, continues to trundle around. Ooh, a little bit of a look to the outside from Pawlowski that time into the cutting. That one didn't work though. And this will be win 4 out of 5 rounds if Mick stays where he is.
Yeah, and I'm currently watching Mick while having an eye on this battle on the screen, and honestly, he is always scaring the crap out of me when he goes over Conrad Straight because of how twitchy his car looks. Turning left, turning right. I think he's going more left and right on the straight than he's actually going straight. But so far so good. He keeps it out of every single wall, out of every single grass or gravel trap. So Mick Claridge right now leading after 12 laps into this race.
See, it scares you, but for those of us who've been watching the Lotus 49 series, that's just Mick Claridge and how he drives this car. He loves a loose setup. Ooh, closing in. Here comes Roman Pawlowski. A little bit of a defensive move this time from Olenek, but he's able to fend off Roman. Ooh, 5 laps to go. I think that Rob's feeling the pressure.
I don't know if Olenek is able to feel pressure at this point.
Too distracted by everything else happening.
Yeah, either that or he is already under so much pressure that he doesn't feel that anymore because everything has gone numb from just racing in front of Roman.
Let's watch this for a little bit longer, then we'll jump back to the battle behind them. And once again, Pawlowski just can't do anything with these long straights. Let's go back to P9. Grant Petullo, one of our Aussies, finds himself just ahead of Hideki Koivisto, the Finn. Having started this race in 17th, has survived everybody else falling by the wayside up to a top 10. Don't forget behind them, that's also Ove Trangrade trying to recover from his problems, having been turned around in the dipper. Ooh, big slide from Ove Trangrad out of Murray's and has to recover to the racing line. That's going to cost him a chance. They come up the mountain straight. Petullo looking good off the corner, so Koivisto going to have to start looking in his mirrors instead.
I don't know what is happening to Mick Claridge right now, but alone in this lap he lost about 1.5 seconds to the 2 guys behind him. So Olenek is just 2.5, actually 2.2 seconds now behind Mick Claridge.
And I'm looking at the lap times. The last few laps, the times have been going up. A 2:01, a 2:02, another 2:01 for Mick Claridge. So this is not representative pace for what we typically see from Mick around here. We're right on board with Pawlowski, and now you can see up ahead how close they're getting. And Mick's not the type in the past that I've seen to try and ease up to manage the gap. In fact, well, this isn't managing the gap because it's closing.
Yeah, last lap he lost 1.8 seconds. No, sorry, actually 1.7 seconds to Rob Olenek behind him.
I wonder if maybe he clipped the wall somewhere, got a little bit of suspension damage. Looks like Pawlowski still getting tantalizingly close up to Griffin's Bend every time. And it's down to 1.9 seconds now. They're into the cutting. 1.8 seconds. Something has got to be wrong. Maybe Mick didn't put enough fuel in. Maybe he cut that a little bit too close. It's 1 degree down Fahrenheit, but that wouldn't have enough of an effect, I would think.
I wonder. I mean, there's 2 things that we can look at. Either it's the fuel that he didn't put enough in, or Mick Claridge is just suffering so much from his tires right now. But also that wouldn't be too much of a...
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't think that would cost him 1 or 2 seconds a lap, as we continue just to get a face full of the rear end of Rob Olenik's car down the Conrad straight. Oh, this is looking very good for Pawlowski. How aggressive is the number 8 gonna be? Very aggressive this time. Pulls it side by side. Fully passed now into the chase as they break for the corner. Finally, after many laps of trying, Roman Pawlowski moves into P2. We've seen so many things go wrong in this corner. Finally, we saw a pass that went right.
Yeah, and the question is now going to be, is Roman actually able to catch the leader of Mick Claridge? So the question is right there, is Roman able to drive away from Rob, or is Rob the faster car and Roman was just able to stay with him because of the draft that these cars get here? A lot of questions in the room, but they're all gonna be answered in just a few moments as we're already in the second last lap of this motor race.
And you have to say that battle was a bit of a relief for Mick Claridge, because it cost them a slight bit of time.
Both of them! Oh!
Upside down for a moment for Rob Olenik. He gets the car back right side up, but Thiel gets by. Snelson quickly approaching. Olenik going once again, but the car is crabbing. That is his day over.
Oh, and he flips it. Flipped it one more time, decides to tow it now. Not able to recover from that one. That's gonna be a big blow to his championship hopes.
So disappointing. And we're watching the replay here for the first initial flip. And Olenik really just the innocent victim on that one. It was Pawlowski's mistake, got sideways in a corner where it's very hard to dodge people who have had those sort of mistakes. So this allowed Gary Thiel to get closer to Pawlowski. How damaged is Pawlowski? Mick Claridge continues to scamper away from both of them. He's going to see the white flag this time by. You just can't count anything out at this mountain, even with 2 to go, Steph.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm honestly a bit surprised about how little damage Roman actually got from that heavy contact with Rob Olenik, because that was heavy contact to his left front wheel, but just still able to go completely straight down a straight line. A question now is, though, can Gary catch up and do something into the chase for that P2?
And we might, once we see this one go up the straight, we might have to cut over to P6, because that's getting very, very close as well. This is Daniel Sadro being chased by Ian Haycox, the UKNI driver. Very, very close, within about half a second of Daniel Sadro, but trying to get the run off the corner. This is going to be the critical one. Only get one good opportunity after here. Just not enough, it looks like.
Is it just me, or is Sadro crabbing? I feel like he's turning right there on the straight.
The wheel looks straight from the onboard.
Interesting.
I seem to recall he did have at least an off at one point. But regardless, he's going to have to hope that he gets a nice little exit off of Forest Elbow, where Mick Claridge is right now. A 4-second lead. It was down to a second and a half at one point, but the mountain saved him. It giveth and it taketh. It's going to giveth for Mick Claridge as long as he can get through the chase and Murray's corner today. One hard braking zone down into this quick chicane, up and over the crest. It's been 3 wins so far for Mick Claridge. Up that tally to 4 today. Around Murray's corner. The number 2 of Mick Claridge takes the victory here at Bathurst. Pawlowski survives to a second place. Gary Teal, a podium for him. And how about Bruce Nelson going from P10 to a 4th place?
Yeah, Bruce Nelson there from 10th to 4th, as you said, but behind him, Matt Wright from 13th on the grid up to 5th place. That is one heck of a climb for him.
Behind them, Daniel Sadro looks like he's going to hold off Ian Haycox for a P6. Ian just going to bring himself home from 11th to 7th. Ove Trangrade, unfortunately, in the end, something must have happened to him because I seem to recall... Oh, no, it was Koivisto and Patullo he was with, so he got by both of them. Oh, as he gives an extra drift through the chase. But only 8th for him despite starting 3rd on the grid. Koivisto going to be the last one across the line. Only 10 cars managing to finish today. Well, we're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. On screen, though, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit. It was round 5 in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And the commentator's curse in full effect today, and then some. We had 11 finishers at the line out of 20 starters. Mick Claridge eventually took the win with Roman Pawlowski finishing P2. Gary Teal got 3rd place and rounded out the podium. Bruce Nelson finished 4th with Matt Wright rounding out your top 5. Daniel Sadro just behind them in 6th. Ian Haycox came home 7th. Ove Trangerade didn't really damage the car too bad with his spin. It was just he had to wait so long for drivers to go by. He only could get 8th. Grant Petullo finishes 9th at Equikoy Visto, the last car on the lead lap, in 10th. Steph?
Rob Olenek, the biggest loser of this race, fighting for the win for some time and then really trending downwards until the big crash with Pawlowski. I mean, Weber, the 11th car to finish today. Rob Olenek had to pull his car into the garage, sadly. Hugh Haycox down in 13th, another car that did finish. Philip Clark in 14th, Andrew Eng 15th, Philip Lake 16th, already 8 laps down. Same with Colin Coker down in 17th. Michel Dudignon down in 18th position, 9 laps down. Very big disappointing race for him after fighting for so long. When Philip Urquhart down in 19th, and Robert Reynolds starting in 20th, finishing in 20th because of his first lap incident with the big walls here at the mountain.
And first to talk to us is 3rd place Gary Teal. Gary, you survived the mountain where others did not, from 6th to 3rd. I mean, how do you feel after that?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Finally. Okay. Well, I guess my biggest accomplishment is being able to talk on here since the last. This is like the 3rd time in a row here. I finally figured things out. So, yeah, it was a pretty boring race, I'm sure, to watch me because for most of the race, I really didn't have anybody around me. I was just, I only advanced really through other people's unfortunate mistakes. So I was a quarter second or so behind the 2 guys in front of me, Angelica and Rob there. So just bad luck on other people's parts, and just captain safety made it through to 3rd today.
Well, I mean, that's a valid strategy as today showed. I mean, is that pretty much how you wanted to approach it coming in, or were you looking and hoping for battles?
Well, I was hoping to be a lot faster, but I'm never fast here. I just can't. I think it's the hurry downs where you have all those chicanes down to that left-hander to the back straight. I'm just slow there, and I lose time every time. I can't figure it out. I've gotten help from plenty of help from Mick and everybody, but it's just not my course, I guess.
And speaking of chicanes, next week we're going to Zolder, where you've got plenty of them to deal with. How do you fare there? Do you think you've got a little bit more pace at the much shorter circuit over in Belgium?
Yeah, I think I do a little bit better on those types of courses. So I'm hoping to be closer to, the guys like Angelica and Rob. Yeah, I think I'll do a bit better there.
Well, hope to see you on the podium again. Congratulations on taking it to a top 3 today.
All right. Thanks very much. See you guys.
That was Gary Teal with 3rd place. And up next, Steph is caught up with our winner, Mick Claridge.
Yeah, and Mick, the biggest question in the room right now, what happened to you at the end of the race? You started to get really slow there. What happened to your car?
Hi, yeah. I had a bit of damage after me and Michelle came together. So I was really slow straight afterwards, and it was a really weird one because you normally sort of learn what sort of damage goes on the car, and how to adjust to it. But it was just sort of felt like I'd never had that sort of damage before, whatever it was to the left rear wheel, and it wasn't until I hit the wall going into the dipper a few laps later, it actually helped the car. So I actually sped up a little bit afterwards. So it was a weird one.
Interesting. It looked like you didn't have damage, but it kind of looked like you were having damage. So a little bit of ghost damage there too. Thought it happened there. I thought it was just Michelle there. But yeah, lucky break for you, I would say, because back then we also had the crash between Roman and Rob. But yeah, so far, so pretty much perfect from your standpoint. How do you manage to just be on point every single race in the Lotus 49?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you, if Michel turned up with an hour's worth of practice this race, that shows you what this series would have been like if he'd been here from the start and running some laps. You know, he had an hour, if that. So that sort of shows. But no, it was annoying because that was a netcode hit as well, and it was a good sort of foot and a half away from me. But yeah, no, it's tough. I was saying to the guys yesterday, because we raced yesterday, and I said I loaded my VIR setup from last week, and it was just quick out of the box. You know, it was really, really quick. And I think I changed second gear ratio, and that was it. And this week it was just really quick. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. You know, such a difference between one click on second gear. You know, coming out of these second gear corners. So that's what really did it. I mean, I was really good coming out the second gear corners, and but yeah, it was tough. You know, it was good to see Michel back and good to race him again. But it's so annoying. I would have rather have had that as my own fault. You know, that was so annoying for it being netcode.
Yeah, well, for the setup, if you have a good setup, you have a good setup. But next race, though, we go on to a very different racetrack from Bathurst and VAR, from high speed to pretty much low speed over at Zolder in Belgium. How do you prepare for Zolder coming up next week?
It's a tough track. I'm not sure what layout we're using. There's two layouts in the funny last chicane. Yeah, right. Okay, so we're using the bigger, the faster chicane at the end, which helps. But yeah, it's a tough one because there's quite a lot of grip there. So if you get cold weather, you can drop the power ramp right down and really get some grunt out of the slow corners, you know. And but yeah, like you say, it's a real twisty one. So, yeah, you just got to stick out and put some hours in. There's no other way, you know. You just got to put your hours in, you know. Still, nobody knows what they're doing with tyre pressures, really. Everyone's got different tyre pressures, it seems. I run 19s today. Someone else, Michel, probably ran 17.5. So, you know, whatever works for you. But yeah, no, there's just no other way to say. You just got to stick the seat time in, you know, and get up to speed, which I need a lot to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. Seat time is your strategy to win here. Mick Clarge, your winner of today's race and the last two races. That's now 3 in a row. Mick Clarge has won in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And yeah, I think that was actually already everyone who wanted to talk to us. Obviously, a lot of people very exhausted from this race.
Yeah, I don't blame them for needing to go take a little bit of a rest. So that gives us a chance to rest and close up. Another big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for coming out and not only giving us a good show, but bringing us back for coverage. But also thanks to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing Esports Network. If you want to see more action here on IESN, make sure and subscribe by clicking the big red button on their YouTube page. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Additional thanks to the team today. Steph, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, we're coming back next week over to Belgium at Zolder. That'll be Saturday, April 21st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.